Hello everyone, this is GameFrost. In today's video, what we're going to be doing today is installing Optiscaler onto Neverness to Everness, aka NTE. This tutorial will use the software in order to activate FSR 4 upscaling and also FSR 4 frame generation, while including ray tracing features, because as you can see here, the base game doesn't offer ray tracing, but instead Lumen on my RX 9070 XT. So we're going to use that software to fix this. The first thing that you need to do is to head over to the Optiscaler website. The link will be down in the description, and you want to head over to the latest version that they have uploaded, which is version 0.9.3, and this version basically brings in some of the latest DLLs. As you can see, when you scroll down to the assets, you will actually see the file right here. So I want you to click this file right here, and once you're done with that, you can click on the downloaded file that you've done and open it up. So if you have WinRAR, 7-zip, or just the original Windows files, you could basically just get all of the files in order to paste it onto the games directory. Now you're probably wondering how to paste this into the games directory. So this is easy. So if you have the launcher right here, you can right click the launcher and click on open file location. Here, this is not the game's files, it's basically the launcher's files. So you kind of want to click it a step back and then click on client, Windows no editor, HT, binaries, Win64, and this right here is all of the game's files. So what you need to do is basically get all of these extracted files, except for this readme. You could like leave this one out, and then just paste it into the game, just like that. So we're not done just yet. We need to follow a guide. And in order to do that, there is a wiki, which I'll link down in the description. And this guide may seem a little bit hard to follow, but it's not. There is like a couple things you need to do, especially with this one right here. And you could see the type of options that are needed to kind of like run the game, or like the differing options that actually work with the game. So the first thing that you need to do is basically go back to the file directory that you copy and paste all those Optiscaler files to, and then go scroll down. You'll find setup windows.bat. You want to open this bat file and click run. Then you need to select some of the options. So you could follow this. Version could work, WinHTTP could work, WinNMM could work, and probably DD312. But what I use is this right here. This one always work on my end, so I'll press 7, and then I would select AMD and or /Intel because I am running an AMD graphics card, and then press 1 for yes to try and use DLS inputs. And we're not done just yet, because we want to go up and select the Optiscaler.ini file. And we want to set use NTD11 hooks to false. So what you want to do is just type in use NTD11. Oh, actually that one didn't work. Let's see. All right here. And then just type in false and then save. Now, if you really want to activate ray tracing on your 8GB graphics card, you actually need to change your VRAM amount. So we're going to, right here. So spoof amount of VRAM for DXGI. If you have an 8GB GPU, you will not get the ray tracing options, but you will get like, options like, I guess, FSR 4 or like DLSS if you have an NVIDIA card and stuff like that, and especially XCSS. This time around, you want to set the spoof amount to either 12GB or just 16. Either those two should work. If 12GB don't work, you could set it to 16. But since I already have a 16GB card, I don't need to change this, so I'll just leave it on auto. So if you do have a 16GB card, you could leave it on auto. And if you want to check If you want to check how many gigabytes your GPU have, you could basically check Task Manager and click on the Performance tab and check your graphics card. You can see the dedicated GPU memory is just 16 gigabytes. And with that being said, you should technically be done with the setup of Optiscaler. But in order to really get everything to work, what you need to do is basically go back to the launcher and then click on Repair Files, clear cache, and press continue. If you see an update button down here, that doesn't matter, just press it. It's not going to really change anything, and you should be able to play this without any problems. Just make sure to clear the cache every time when you set up Optiscaler into NTE. So we're going to press play now. So in order to get Optiscaler working, to actually pop up the UI, what you need to do is press the insert key on your keyboard, and as you can see, we are working. It's basically just working. It's using the input as DLSS. As you can see here, it's using NVIDIA DLSS as input and basically translating into FSR 4.1.1. So this is the latest FSR 4 DLL as of now. And also, we have ray tracing right there. Ray tracing is right there, and we can actually turn it on. So let's go and set up frame generation as well. So if you want to get frame generation working and running really fine, what you could do is just set DLSSG via Streamline and then set it to FSR FG. And you can also set it to XEFG if you have an Intel Arc graphics card, especially when you could set it to XeSS as well in all these other versions. If you have an NVIDIA card, you can actually set, to DLSS and have different types of DLSS presets and whatnot. So my monitor refresh rate is around 170, so we'll just apply this limit. And then you want to save the settings and then basically restart the game again so that frame generation can actually work. So as you can see, just like what I said earlier, the launcher will actually give you this update button. Just press it and then just press play, and the game would still work. It's not going to really overwrite much. So as you can see, it definitely has the UI pop-up. If you see that Optiscaler UI pop-up, that means it's actually working. All right, let's see if frame generation actually works. All right, so frame interpolation is finally here. So let's open up our RTSS, and then we're gonna click 2x. That doesn't mean that it's running just yet, because we need to basically press the active button. All right, so it's around 170. We definitely did limit the frame rate, but when we reset it, it goes up to 230 frames. And then press allow async to get even more frames. But as of this, I'm just gonna limit mines because I just want to save a little bit of power. As you can see, the power dropped a little. And then you should technically be done with Optiscaler. So now let's go ahead and enable ray tracing. And there you have it. It actually works. And I think we're using quality. Yes, we are using quality. So I'm running the game with FSR 4.1.1 on quality with ray tracing enabled and frame generation. And it feels absolutely smooth and the game looks absolutely good. So if you want to enable full ray tracing, or as other people call it, path tracing, you could just press down here. And it's gonna be very heavy, by the way. So it takes a little bit of time. Now, if you're seeing visual artifacts, especially these grainy pixels or like boiling, what you need to do is go to settings and just turn off ray reconstruction if you don't have an NVIDIA card at all, because it's basically buggy. And as you can see, it's running fine. Although our frame rate went down, it's a little bit chuggish. It has a lot of chugging into it, a little bit of stuttering, but we can change that if we set it to performance. Now, if you set the upscaling to balance, the screen would actually flicker when you're using FSR. So you need to enable, I believe, this in order to alleviate the flickering. But yeah, so now we're using full ray tracing on performance mode. It definitely looks softer everywhere, actually, and I'd rather just play with ray tracing on quality settings. But yeah, this is how you get Optiscaler working on NTE and getting all of the good features like the latest FSR 4 and ray tracing. So now you're probably wondering, how do I uninstall this? Well, I'll show you how. So in order to uninstall, what you need to do is basically go back to the same directory that you pasted all of the Optiscaler files on, and then you want to scroll all the way down. You'll see this .bat file called remove Optiscaler. You click on it, you press Y for yes if you want to remove Optiscaler, and then press any key to continue, enter. Then go back to the launcher and then click on repair files, and then click clear cache, continue, and there you go. So all of the settings will be reset in the game, so you're gonna have to, like, change your settings again in game, but Optiscaler will be fully removed. Now, one thing to note is do not use options like dxgi.dll for this game, because the game would actually flag it as some kind of cheat or something, and they'll kind of like block you from running the game. But if you use the other DLL options that are provided, or as shown in the wiki, the 4 working ones, you should be able to play the game just fine with Optiscaler. Now, I've been using this for quite some time and I haven't been banned, but I mean, to be honest, I have no guarantees if they would allow something like this. But remember, this software is not used for cheating in any way. It's just used to help you, elevate your graphics and just make the game run better, look better all the way. So if you like this tutorial, please give a like. If you want to share it to everyone else, you can. And yeah, so thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you next time.